Hello you guys, this is Jessica from the future. Just wanted to pop in really fast to say I have not posted in a couple of days and I apologize to you guys so much. I've been sick and then I've been getting migraines, and on top of it I've been trying to film this 24-hour reading vlog, which has honestly been taking up so much of my time. So I appreciate every single one of you guys. I apologize that my upload schedule has been a little off, but we will be getting back to normal after this video. So thank you guys for sticking around. And I just wanted to say that before we get started. So without further ado, we're just gonna jump into the video. Hello you guys, welcome back to my channel. My name's Jess, and today we're going to be doing, or this weekend, we're gonna be doing a 24-hour reading vlog. This light keeps turning off the blue lamp. Is that better? So in my TBR video that I made a couple of weeks ago now for February, I listed out a few books that I wanted to read, including Frankenstein, 28 Summers, The Maid, The Fury, and One in Rome. And since then, I have gone on 2 trips in February, Dallas and Vegas, which you guys all know about at this point. And I found that it was actually really hard to read while I was on these trips. I thought that I was going to be reading on the plane, reading on my downtime, but because I was with friends and not just Ryan, I think it was just like that much harder to, like, you know, not be with them. So I figured I've always wanted to do a 24-hour reading vlog, but now's a great time to do it because I have the extra time this weekend. I have close to no plans, and I want to make sure I'm hitting my reading list. So I have a list here of the books that I have. I actually the other day finished The Fury, and I'll tell you guys about that in my like reading wrap up, but I wasn't really inspired to read the other books that I had on my list quite yet. So I actually picked something else up. This is The First Lie Wins by Elston. So far I'm liking it. I am currently 31% of the way through and I have 5.5-ish hours left. What I'm going to do for this vlog is that it's going to be an actual 24-hour amount of reading, meaning that I'm going to set a timer for 24 hours and I'm going to pause it when I go to sleep, pause it, you know, when I'm not reading. One day I will do a like full, like, let's see what I can do within 24 hours. But I just feel like if I'm sleeping for 6-8 hours, then I'm not actually doing the reading challenge. So my battery's dying and we just started. Let me go change that and I'll continue telling you guys about this challenge. Okay, we are back, I think. Yeah, we're good now. This weekend, the only plan that I have is I'm supposed to be hanging out with a friend on Sunday. So I'm gonna get most of this done hopefully on Saturday, which that actually works perfectly for this challenge. We're gonna get started tonight, but I am going to like sleep normal sleeping schedules and stuff like that. I'm gonna go ahead and get started tonight, and my goal is mostly to finish the books that I have on this February TBR. So the books that I have left are 28 Summers, One in Rome, and Frankenstein. The other half of this is that Frankenstein has been difficult to say the least, only because it is just very old English and it's, I don't know, it's just difficult to understand. I don't want to sit on a couch and read it for hours and hours and hours, so it's just harder to get to. So with that being said, I think what I'm gonna do, there's actually 24 chapters in Frankenstein, so it would have been perfect if I was starting it now. Unfortunately I'm not. There's 18 chapters left, so if I read essentially like one chapter every hour of this reading challenge, I'll be done with it before the challenge is over. So that's my other goal, is that I'm going to finish Frankenstein in this. I think that's pretty much it. I don't really have like many rules on this at all. I'm just gonna see how much we can read. I know how fast I read, typically speaking, so I don't really know how many books I'm gonna be able to get through, but I'm hoping that we can get through at least a good chunk of my February TBR so that I can finish it by the end of the month. So without further ado, I'm going to go grab a charger for my phone because it's at 4% and I don't want it to die while I'm doing this challenge. And I'm going to hunker down with this book. Again, I am already 30% of the way through, but I figure that might as well finish this one and then move on to the next one rather than just like putting this one to the side. So I'm gonna go get my charger and I'm gonna go sit down with P and we're gonna start the reading challenge. All right, we got some water. We got our stopwatch here. I'm gonna just do a stopwatch for now. We're gonna start now and I'm gonna sit over here with P and get cozy until Ryan gets home. Here we go.
Okay, day one was not the strongest. I apologize because I literally just woke up. I probably look really tired, but I fell asleep on the couch and I had my AirPods in, so I did not hear Ryan trying to wake me up. So I stayed on the couch until like 1 a.m. It's almost 7 right now. You cannot see that. It's almost 7, just trust me. And I have only read for an hour and 14 minutes. And the reason it's so little is because I actually was reading a little bit on the couch, then I went to go take a bath, and I did a lot of the reading in the bath. It was actually very nice. I stayed in there for like 45 minutes, and then Ryan came home and I kept getting distracted, and then by the time he like settled down, started watching a show, I passed out. So I am a solid amount through though now. I'm 45% in, so I was 30% when I started. And we're getting a lot of good backstory on this character. If you don't already know, basically, actually let me read the synopsis to you all because I don't want to accidentally spoil anything. Evie Porter has everything a nice Southern girl could want: a perfect doting boyfriend, a house with a white picket fence and a garden, and a fancy group of friends. The only catch: Evie Porter doesn't exist. The identity comes first: Evie Porter. Once she's given a name and location by her mysterious boss, Mr. Smith, she learns everything there is to know about the town and the people in it. Then the mark, Ryan Sumner. The last piece of the puzzle is the job. Evie isn't privy to Mr. Smith's identity, but she knows this job will be different. I'm not gonna keep going because I feel like you get the point, but basically this job is gonna be different. She feels different about the job, blah blah blah. And I saw that this was a book of the month book and people were like not so sure about it, like they were only giving it 3 stars. So far I'm like flying through it. I really like it a lot, so I'm gonna keep reading it. I'm probably gonna make coffee in a little bit, but I want to like wake up a little bit first. I don't like it to be the first thing that I drink in the morning. And then the only other thing that I need to do today, aside from like walk pee, is I do want to do some kind of workout. So I'm gonna take a break at some point to do that, but otherwise I'm just gonna get right back into it. For today we're gonna read as much as we possibly can because today's the day where I have the most time. Okay, so took a quick break to go walk pee, and now I'm back to reading. I'm 60% of the way through. I feel like the book is leading me in a certain direction. Like it wants me to think maybe, and I'm just speculating here because obviously I have no idea, but I kind of feel like it's like leading me to think someone did something when in reality it's like someone else that's like super unsuspecting. And I'm wondering if that's going to be like any kind of plot twist or if I'm just like totally off base. So those are like my only theories, I guess, so far about this one. Otherwise, honestly, I'm like really into this one. I really love any kind of like mystery thriller type of book because I feel like the questions, I don't know, like they get me to like want to read because I want to figure out what happened. I still really love reading like romance and things like that too, but I don't think it does it for me. Like I can't read romance after romance in a row. So there's that. I also realized I have not been good about picking up Frankenstein here and there. So I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to get to 75% in First Light Wins, and then I'll pick up Frankenstein for a chapter and we'll kind of go back and forth. Gonna keep reading. I just made myself a latte, and the next time I take a break, I will be doing a quick workout. But that's not gonna be for a little while. I'm gonna get cozy on this like little couch over here. That way Ryan has the big couch if he wants, but I think he's gonna be leaving the house shortly, so I'll be here for the next few hours. Took a quick break. I got to 75% in First Light Wins, and then I took a break, like I said, and went over to Frankenstein. And I wanted to give you guys some updates. After reading, I took a quick break to do a little workout, showered, had a snack, and now we are back in position. With First Light Wins, I don't think I said this before, but basically the chapters go back and forth between present and past. You're kind of learning a bit about how this character got into the job that she's in. So as you read about each new persona, you get a lot more about who this character is, why she's in
the situation that she's in and just like a little bit more about her history, because she uses different names and things like that. So it's really interesting, especially as we're getting toward the end. You really are rooting for her, even though she's not necessarily the best person. So it's really interesting. And then flipping back over to Frankenstein, I've actually been, just to make sure that I'm understanding everything that I'm reading, after I read a chapter, I've been going to this site and just like reading the synopsis of each chapter. It like breaks it up. And that's mostly just because, again, I just don't want to lose anything while I'm reading it. It's very interesting because I'm only like, you know, like 40-ish% of the way through, so I'm not quite even halfway. But really, you don't get a lot, or so far I have not gotten a lot of the monster at all. Just like in one of the chapters, all of a sudden it was like it was created and then he ran away while the character was at school. So I'm not really sure. He's convinced right now, and I'm gonna give some spoilers, but it's Frankenstein, so if you don't want spoilers on Frankenstein, skip ahead a little bit. But right now, his brother was murdered and he is convinced that it was his monster that did it. So not really sure why he thinks that. He also just like doesn't really want to tell people because he doesn't want to seem like he's insane. So we'll have to learn more. I'm going to keep going with First Lie Wins. I think I have about 2 hours. Yeah, 2 hours left. So I think I'm just gonna finish it and then I'll read a chapter of Frankenstein and I'll let you guys know how I like it at the end. The main character just had the same theory that I have. So clearly they wanted me to go in that direction. It adds up. I'm 90% of the way through now, and I think we know who the bad guy is. Like, I think we're finding out right now that it's getting crazy. It's not who I thought it was. We're about to find out. What? I'm so confused. There are 4 chapters left of my book, and something that just happened that, like, I'm so confused. That book was so good. I think it's so interesting because on Goodreads it has a really high rating, and then from any like videos that I've watched, it gets like an okay rating. I'm gonna give it 5 stars. I thought it was a fantastic book. I felt like it was like really well done too. Like, it just constantly made me think I knew what was happening and then I had no idea what was happening, and the ending was just so great that, I don't know, I just thought it was a lot of fun. I don't know that I'll like be thinking about it for the longest period of time, so I guess we'll see, but I don't know. I really liked it. It kind of gave me the same feeling that 0 Days by Ruth Ware gave me. I really liked that one as well, where like the main character is like this really cool badass girl. There's still mystery and intrigue, but in a different way than like a thriller would give you, so just something a little different. So I really liked it a lot. I am currently trying to decide what book I want to read next, because I realized that when I did my February TBR video, I put in a couple of things like When in Rome and 28 Summers, mostly because they've been on my TBR for a while and I was like, it's time to get them off the TBR. But I'm not really in the mood for those types of books. So I'm trying to decide if I read something else. I have a couple of Freida McFadden books already on my Kindle. So I'm gonna go through what I have on the Libby app, what I have on the Kindle, and I'm gonna kind of pick out what I think I might wanna read next. Okay, I think I finally decided what I want to read. So basically the way that I set up my Kindle is by collections. So I have currently reading, notes, and then TBR, and then my read section. Notes are just like anytime I underline anything, and then most recently I added a Throne of Glass collection because that's where all of the Throne of Glass books are in my Kindle, just so I can keep them all together because there's so many. But in my TBR I have quite a few books that like over time I've just like downloaded and never read, because there's Kindle Unlimited, which I do not pay for, but there's also Prime Reading, which if you don't already know, it's basically the same thing as Kindle Unlimited, just has different books on it, and it's part of your Prime subscription. So I downloaded Prime books forever ago apparently, and I just never actually read them. 2 of which are Freida McFadden books, and she just always hits the spot She always does the right twists for me. Like, her reads are always really fast, and I think I'm gonna stay motivated if I read those books. So I think I was going through like seeing which ones I liked and which ones like I was most intrigued by, I guess you could say. And I think I'm gonna read Want to Know a Secret by Freida McFadden. And just to keep you guys updated on the timer, we are at 7 hours and 12 minutes. So we still have a lot of time. That means that we have roughly 17 more hours to go of this challenge. It's gonna be a tough one. I don't think I realized how hard it is to actually read 24 hours, like when you're pausing it, or like how much time that actually takes up. But it's gonna be great. We're gonna have a fantastic time doing it because we're reading books. I also have P here with me as always, but I need to show you because I don't think I have in this whole video. I've pretty much been sitting in the same spot this whole video. There's my boy. He's being really cute. His bow tie is on his back. So anyway, enough rambling for me. I think I'm just like distracting myself from reading. So I'm gonna get to it and we're gonna start Want to Know a Secret. Quick update. I am about 20% of the way through Want to Know a Secret, and it's pretty good so far. Basically, it's about this woman who is a YouTube star, if you will. She has a channel where she makes baked goods, and she's married to a lawyer. She has a son, and they're in this like really rich neighborhood, and a new family moves in next door. And so far, like basically all we know is she's kind of getting along with the family next door, or at least the wife of the family next door. Her son gets along with that family's son, and she's sort of helping her integrate into this community, I guess what you can say. So really we're just at like the setup phase of this book. So that's not really any big spoilers. Those are all things that like you learn within the first little bit of the book. But something just feels a little off about the characters, like especially the family that just moved in. Like you can tell something's going to be weird about them. So I am intrigued to learn what it is, but I'm feeling really tired. I think last night because I fell asleep on the couch until like 1 a.m. That didn't really help. And then today I've just like been going in and out of taking naps. So I think I'm gonna take a quick break. We are currently at 8 hours and 30 minutes of this challenge. It's possible, and I didn't want to say this too soon, but it is possible that we will just have to see after this weekend how far we can get during the week, like around work, and just like read as much as possible to hit 24 hours. Really, I wanted to do this to see like, one, how much I can read in a day, which is clearly not a lot. I think I could maybe read like 6-ish of those hours we read today, maybe 6.5 or 7 at like the max. It's like obviously not a lot. Yeah, it's just hard to read straight. One day I also want to do like an actual 24-hour reading vlog like I was telling you guys at the beginning of this. This is a lot more challenging than I think I thought it was. Like in my head I was like, I just get to sit on the couch and read all day. But your mind is like so focused while you're reading, and I just feel like it's so much more exhausting than just like, I don't know, watching something on TV. So kudos to all of those people that you see doing 24-hour reading challenges online. Wow, my eyes feel heavy. Like it's exhausting. So I'm going to take a quick break. I just want to like recoup a little bit, maybe even take a quick nap. We'll see. I'm gonna go rest for a little bit, and I'll see you guys when I start reading again. Good morning, you guys. I thought I was gonna wake up so much earlier, but I didn't. I just couldn't do it. I'm gonna make myself a coffee right now, and I'm gonna read for a little bit before hanging out with my friend. It's kind of all we have planned so far. You can see the bags. Like, I mean, I kind of always have bags under my eyes, but I'm tired. This is exhausting. It's crazy to think that I'm not even halfway through this challenge yet. Like, technically, I think I'm at like 8.5 hours. I mean, I don't know how people do it. I guess they just stay up later. I just don't function that way. I am excited, though, to learn a little bit more about the book that I'm currently reading, which is the Want to Know a Secret one, because I feel like something's off, and I'm excited to figure out what it is. So definitely gonna dive right back in. I'm having a quick
banana snack, and I set an alarm for 10 a.m. so I could get ready for my friend picking me up for our adventures. But I was reading this book while I was walking pee today because I forgot that I have the Kindle app on my phone. It started giving me like Pretty Little Liars vibes, so even more exciting because I loved that show. So I'm gonna continue reading for the next like 2-ish hours. We're almost at 9 hours, so we're getting closer, but it's a little bit of a struggle right now. We're not even halfway through, so we'll see how far we get within these next 2 hours, and then we'll get ready and head off. We're gonna do an obstacle course today, so we'll do that, come back, and continue reading. It is currently 8 o'clock. We are at the 10-hour mark. Here's what happened. First of all, we went to it's called like American Ninja Warrior something or other. It's like these courses, like obstacle courses. My friend and I are doing a Tough Mudder together, so we thought that it would be fun because they have similar obstacles to just like see what we could do. We couldn't do a lot. I'll insert a video here of myself trying one of the obstacles. It was crazy. Like, I thought that I was in better shape than this. So it was fun, but when I was there, I ended up getting an ocular migraine, and usually what happens if I get one of those, I don't get them often, but when I do, the vision goes and then comes back, so then I can see again, but then immediately once I can see, I start getting an actual migraine. So while I was there, I had the ocular migraine. We left after our like 90-minute time period, and we went to grab some food, and on the way home I started getting a migraine. I was also getting really tired, and then I got home probably around like 2:30ish. I took a shower and I passed out for like 2 hours. I was so tired. Before my friend picked me up though, I did listen to an audiobook, so I was counting the timer for when I was listening to the audiobook because I was making some food before, like kind of multitasking. So I was listening to Hello Girls, which is a book by Brittany, Cavallaro, and Emily Henry. It's one that I've been like intrigued by, but I'm not like dying to read, and so that's why I've been listening to it via Spotify's audiobooks. So I did that, and that's what got me to the 10-hour mark. And I just like, for the last 3 hours, even though I've been awake, I've been just like chilling in the bed and like hanging out with P, watching something, because I just like almost had like a migraine hangover, if you will. But luckily this was like a very short one, which is nice because sometimes they can be like days long. I still want to read. I have my book here with me, Want to Know a Secret, so I think I'm going to continue that after I have one more video that I want to watch, and then I'm going to continue reading. But unfortunately we're not going to end this by the weekend. I don't know how people do 24-hour reading vlogs. Like, truly, it's difficult. Which is why it's a challenge, obviously, but we're gonna just have to do it during the next week as well. So it's gonna be a bit of a challenge, but I'm excited still to continue reading and seeing how much I can get done within like around the workday and things like that. So anyway, those are my updates so far on like what times we're at, how far we've gotten. So I think that I have a few more hours in me tonight after this video, and then we'll go to bed and I'll wake up early and like start reading again, refreshed in the morning.
$933.12 and some real luck.
Just a quick update for you guys. I have been working while listening to an audiobook because I, one, just want to make sure that I get through the audiobook, and two, I also want to make sure that I'm consistently reading. Even though I'm working, doesn't mean I can't listen to my audiobook. So I finally hit the 12-hour mark. We're officially halfway through. I keep saying this, but I really don't know how people do this without, I mean, like, I'm just already so tired. So it's like impressive to me that people do this and just like stay up all night to do it. I don't know. I feel like it would like totally affect my other days, if you will. Like, if I stayed up all weekend, then I would be really tired today and I wouldn't really effectively be able to work. So anyway, I am going to take a quick break from work and actually read this book. I'm currently at the 40% mark. So I have about 3.5 hours left of this book, and I'm thinking between this and the audiobook, I can get a good chunk done because I think I have like 2 hours on the audiobook. audiobook. We are trying our hardest while we are also working, so it's been a lot of reading. To give you updates on both of the books that I'm currently reading, Want to Know a Secret, I'm really liking it. Like I was telling you guys, it's kind of giving me like Pretty Little Liars vibes. Like someone keeps texting her and like weird things keep happening, but she has no idea who's texting her, and like now some of the things that she's getting texts about like are actually affecting her life, like they're not just texts anymore. So I'm really enjoying that one. And then Hello Girls is interesting. It's fine. I think that like I tend to read audiobooks when I'm not so sure that I would want to read like a physical book about the story. I don't think that I would have like picked this one up if it was not just like easy to listen to it. It's okay. You can definitely tell that it is one of the earlier books that Emily Henry was a part of. I don't know. It's good. It's like a Thelma and Louise type novel, if you will. So it's like fun, but it's not necessarily like my favorite type of story. So it is what it is. I want to finish it so that I can be done with it and move on to the next one though, because I'm having enough fun that it's like entertaining while I'm working. So I'm going to, like I said, take a little break, read some of this. I actually might go sit on the couch to read because it's rainy. I was gonna sit outside, but I didn't expect it to rain. Take a little lunch break and then, yeah, and then get back to the audiobook while I read a little bit more. Hi guys, first of all, I cut my hair, super exciting. I, on a whim, decided I wanted to go for something a little different. So I did not cut it myself this time. I actually went to a place to go get it cut, but this is my new hair. So that's update number one. Update number two is we have officially made it to 15 hours, like on the dot. I did not do this on purpose. This is just by chance. This is where we've ended up. So here is where we're at in terms of the books that we're currently reading, just to give you guys total update. We have about 4.5 hours of Frankenstein. We have about 2 hours of Want to Know a Secret. And we also have 2 hours of my audiobook, which would put us at 0.5 hours left, which I'm kind of reserving that for Frankenstein because I have a feeling that I'm going to be a little slow reading it. So I think that what I'm going to do right now, it's about 5 o'clock. I'm going to prioritize reading Frankenstein right now. And that's because it has the most amount left on it. And I'm also the least excited about it. And I just kind of want to get through as much as I possibly can. I feel like that's probably the best order to do it in. Then I'm going to read Want to Know a Secret. And then tonight/tomorrow in the morning, I will read or listen to Hello Girls, which is my audiobook. So without further ado, I'm gonna go onto the couch. I'm going to get comfy while I wait for Ryan to get back from work. I'm gonna go read as much as I possibly can for the next few hours because we are gonna get this 24-hour challenge done. I'm moving to this room because I was sitting in the kitchen. Sometimes it's just like nice to sit upright, but I'm currently doing laundry, so it's kind of loud over there. But I wanted to give you guys an update on Frankenstein. I've paused my timer because Frankenstein is a book that was written so long ago. I feel okay with giving spoilers. I think I've said that in the past in this video, but just like forewarning, I'm going to do a little bit of spoiling for Frankenstein in particular. I find it very interesting because it is not at all what I thought that it was going to be. The book itself is like, I'm on chapter 11 now out of 24 and I'm at like the 45% mark. I find it interesting because up until this point, the main character, Victor Frankenstein, he makes a creature and then you never see the creature ever again. And you're just kind of like, okay. And then somebody in his family dies and the community thinks that somebody killed this family member. They end up convicting this other like person of the community that everybody knew, but Victor is convinced that it was his creature. We don't really get a lot of information as to why. It's just kind of like, I know it was him, like that's it. And then now Victor is just like depressed because they ended up giving the death sentence to the other person who they like convicted for killing his family member, and he ends up finding his creature. So now we're finally finally back into a point where we are with the creature. This is not at all what I thought this book was going to be like, and it's intriguing to like see over time. From the time that you're like little, you hear about Frankenstein, you think that you know what the story is, but you don't. And so reading it has been very interesting. We're about to go into the monster's cave and learn about his life, and so that's what we're doing next in the following chapter, and it's just very different from what I was expecting. I kind of was expecting like a I don't know, like almost like Edward Scissorhands, as silly as that sounds, like where, well, maybe that is where we're going with this, I don't know, basically like where monster is created, everybody hates the monster, but then it turns out that the monster was like actually really nice. We'll see. It's interesting. I like don't think that I could like have this be the only thing that I'm reading right now, but it is interesting to go back to classics and like learn a little bit more about why they're classics. The only other thing about this book is that a lot of it is just like telling, or out of nowhere it'll just like totally switch how it's written. Like for the longest time it was written kind of like pretty normally, like I could pretty much understand everything, and then out of nowhere it kind of started speaking biblically, like it was like if thy blah blah blah, but in every other chapter it hasn't been that way, so I don't really know why it switches back and forth, but that's where we're at. So I'm gonna keep reading. I'm gonna switch back over to the kitchen because I was actually pretty comfortable sitting like up straight. I feel like the other downside of a 24-hour reading vlog is you spend a lot of time sitting. After a while I'm like kind of over sitting, so I'm trying to sit in like different spots, different areas of the house, because normally my reading spot is on that couch or on this other little couch that's over here, and I'm like so over sitting. That's where we're at. Those are all my updates. Good morning, you guys. I apologize if you can hear my heater, but I have my space heater on below me and I don't know what's happening here, but we're just going to ignore that. I don't know. I keep getting these like weird rashes. Anyway, we're here to talk about books. I actually for the last night and today have been diving into Frankenstein just so that I have something else to look forward to after, because I thought that this would get boring for me, but actually it's pretty interesting. I am intrigued by the story. It is kind of interesting because you start the story from one person's perspective and then he starts telling a story about Victor Frankenstein, and then Victor Frankenstein starts telling a story about the creature or like the monster, and so you are going through like multiple perspectives and like kind of this like game of telephone, but it's pretty good. I actually really like it. Right now Frankenstein is trying to immerse himself in a community. He learned how to speak and communicate in French as well as read, which is impressive, and now he's telling Frankenstein about his life without him, like what's been going on since they last saw each other. So it's been very interesting. It is a strange book, like it's nothing like what I expected, but I have been enjoying it. So I have roughly 3 hours left of this one, I believe, and 1 hour of my audiobook, 2 hours of my other Freida McFadden book. So I'm gonna prioritize this one only because again, like this one takes a little bit more brain power, and then I can breeze through the other ones. I'm gonna go into my first meeting and then we're gonna get back to reading during my lunch break. So I will continue to update you guys as to how I'm enjoying the books. Okay, just updating you guys. I have a red mark here because I was literally going like this because of the end of my book. So I just finished Hello Girls and we're at 18 hours and 14 minutes. We're so close to the end. Like we can see the light at the end of the tunnel, but I wanted to update you guys because I kind of go into audiobooks expecting to lose a little bit, and that's on me. Like it's not on the author or like the writing or anything like that. As I started this book, I knew that I was probably gonna give it 3 stars, and then down the line a little bit, it started to fall a bit flat. Like basically this book, Hello Girls, the whole way through is 2 girls who run away. They're robbing gas stations, they're drugging men who are selling roofies, so kind of like getting back at them drugging other young women. And it's like kind of cool and like fun to like see them go through all of these things, but it kind of gets repetitive after a while. So truthfully, I started going down to like the 2-star range. Like I was kind of at a point where I was like, okay, let's just get this book over with. But the end was so unexpected. Like, I don't want to give any spoilers in case you guys do want to read this book, but I was really not expecting what the ending was at all. So with that, I like literally was sitting here like, oh my god, I stopped doing what I was doing for work because I needed to like give it my full attention. So I'm gonna go back to 3 stars on this one. It was not like my favorite book in the world. It was definitely like, I think maybe it could have been a little bit shorter, and maybe I would feel different about it if I actually physically read it versus listened to it. There were certainly a few chapters where I was like, I'm confused about what happened, but at the same time it felt like I didn't need to have that information in order to understand what was going on with the book. So giving it 3 stars. We have about 5 hours and 45 minutes left of this reading challenge. We are really so close. I think I was telling you guys this morning that I've been reading Frankenstein as well, so kind of prioritizing that one, and we have just under 3 hours of that plus 2 hours of my other book. So we're gonna have like 45 minutes left of the challenge toward like the end of this. So I'm thinking of what other book I may want to quickly start. So we'll get down that route once we get there, just because I'm not entirely sure. Like, hopefully if we read as fast as we've been reading, I think we'll have that extra 45 minutes. If not, then like maybe we'll perfectly round out this challenge with the books that we're reading. So we'll see. We do have some plans for the rest of the evening, including seeing Ryan's parents. So not as much reading time as I was hoping for the day, but I'll continue to keep you guys updated. But we are very close to finishing this reading challenge. Okay, I wanted to give you guys my thoughts, and I apologize because there may be some noises in the background between doing my laundry and my space heater below. But we are at 21 hours and 30 minutes. Frankenstein was not what I was expecting. I thought by like the middle of it that it would be kind of like an Edward Scissorhands type vibe, but that's not at all the case. Part of the way through, I don't even remember what percentage point, but there's a part where, and I'm going to give some more spoilers to Frankenstein, so I apologize in advance. It's the only book that I'm going to give spoilers to. But part of the way through, the main character, Frankenstein's brother is murdered. They think that it's someone else in the community. I think I mentioned this to you guys. And for whatever reason, Victor Frankenstein thinks that it was his monster. I think that this is where some people judge the book because some of the plot points are just kind of like told to you. So for whatever reason, he thinks this, and it makes not really a lot of sense, but then it comes to find out that that's actually the truth, that the monster did kill his brother. So Frankenstein feels really bad about the fact that, you know, his brother was killed, but then also this other innocent woman was then put to the death sentence because they all thought that she was the one who did it. So between that and then other people being murdered, essentially the monster wants some sort of companion, ideally a female companion, and he wants Victor Frankenstein to make that companion for him because he's living an extremely lonely life. And at first Victor decides, okay, sure, I'll do it. But then he realizes they're just going to have children together. Like, this is not a good idea. And he can only promise that he's going to be good, but what happens if she doesn't want to be good? So he effectively tells the monster, like, look, I decided I'm not gonna do it, and the monster wants to take revenge on him by killing everyone around him. So kills his best friend. Victor Frankenstein gets married. He kills the wife. He effectively ends up killing off everyone near him, making him very lonely. And then it circles back to the beginning when Victor Frankenstein is on this ship with this person who he's telling the story to, and it goes down that route. So overall, it was very interesting. When Victor Frankenstein dies, his monster, his creation, gets really sad and is like, I have no reason to live. Like, all I wanted from him was a companion, and now I literally have nobody. So then he also basically just goes off into the darkness. It's kind of wild. I'm not really sure what I'm gonna rate this one. It's kind of hard to rate a classic. I think the storyline was interesting. The way that it was written was kind of all over the place. I think it was interesting. Once I was actually reading it, I thought it was good. I wanted to know more. I wanted to know what was happening. It wasn't unputdownable, but it was definitely more interesting than I thought it was gonna be. So those are all of my thoughts on Frankenstein. We have 2.5 hours left. I think I only have 2-ish hours of my other book left, the Freida McFadden book. So I'm going to finish off this challenge by reading that, and then I'll have to pick up one more book, which I will tell you guys about as soon as I get to that point. So we'll see see how far I get in Wanna Know a Secret, but that's the next one that I'm finishing. Going to be finishing it today, but first I have to head over to some work meetings. So I will see you guys on my lunch break, but I feel very productive with having finished Frankenstein. Like, I feel like a weight has lifted from my shoulders because this one's really intriguing and really easy to read. Very different vibe. You guys, I cannot believe that the time has come, but let me show you my current timer. I'm making some food right now and I just paused my timer with like the perfect time, 22 hours and 59 minutes. So that means we have approximately an hour left of this challenge, which is crazy. Wanted to tell you beforehand that the next book that I'm going to read is called Flock by Kate Stewart. This is a book that my friends and I are reading for a book club that we have. So I think I've mentioned to you guys that my friends and I all read similar books, but this year we decided that we would start doing like a formal book club and like actually read a book over the course of a month together. And so this is the book that was chosen for the first month, which will be the month of March. It took us a second to get started up, but here we are. So I'm gonna read that book after, but just to talk a little bit more about Wanna Know a Secret, I like any Freida McFadden book, but it's like fine. I feel like it could be a lot more complex and I don't know how it's gonna end. Obviously, we still have 40 minutes left and quite a few chapters to go within that 40 minutes, but every time the character has a thought, it's like, I wonder what I'm gonna do about this. Now I have to go this way. But like that kind of writing, and I don't know, it's not my favorite because it's just kind of like telling me how the character is feeling instead of just like showing me. Or sometimes it makes it feel like even though I can understand how a character is feeling, they really want me to know, and so they tell me anyway, and it's like not really necessary. So it just feels a little like but it is what it is. Like, it's still pretty good. But I'm gonna finish this now. I'm gonna eat some food. We're so close. We're so close. I just finished Wanna Know a Secret by Freida McFadden. I honestly don't know what to give this one. I didn't really like it, as dumb as that sounds. Like, I feel like the twist was so out of left field that it was just like a sequence of coincidences that made it so. And while that can be how reality works, it was too far-fetched for me. I just didn't really like it. So I'm not really sure what I'm gonna rate it. Usually Freida McFadden does not let me down. And don't get me wrong, she always writes a book that I'm intrigued to know like what's going on, what's happening, why is everyone acting weird, and that was definitely the case with this one, but it just kind of fell a little flat. So I don't know if I'm gonna give it a 2 or a 3. Like, I don't think I would recommend this one. It's not bad to say. I feel bad saying that. I don't know why, but it just wasn't for me. I'm sure it's for other people. Anyway, we are at 23:37, so we have like 23 minutes left of this reading challenge. Ooh, we are really so close. So I'm going to pick up Flock, and I don't really know what it's about. Actually, let's look it up. I don't really know what it's about. Okay, well, we're gonna go for it. I think someone else that I follow has read this book, but they didn't rate it. But the overall rating for this one is 4.13, which after the last book, I realized that like I cannot rely on. Everyone is gonna have different thoughts on books, but we're gonna finish off the challenge with this book, and I will let you guys know all of my thoughts the second that we're done with our last 23 minutes for this 24-hour reading challenge. Oh my god, we hit 24 hours. I never thought that the day would come. Okay, I want to give you guys my full thoughts on this now that we've officially finished. I really only got like 2 chapters into this book, but we'll get into that later. I think I need to take a second away from reading. I have a few thoughts, only because while this was not your traditional 24-hour reading challenge, it was still very much a challenge for me personally. I tried to do as much of a like traditional 24-hour reading challenge as I possibly could, but I wasn't able to do it the way that you might see other YouTubers do it, only because I do have a 9-to-5, so I can't just like take off a day or make myself tired and not be able to perform at work. That being said, I think I mentioned this in this video at some point. I don't even remember what's been going on lately, but I do intend to try that out, but I do need to like set aside proper time for it rather than just a weekend, because clearly that didn't work out this time around. But overall, I think that it was really nice to have dedicated time to finish a certain amount of books. Like most of the books, aside from that last Freida McFadden book, I think all of the other books I had started and I wanted to finish as part of the 24-hour reading challenge. So that was really nice to be able to like feel motivated, like, okay, it's only this many hours, like we have this much time left, like just get through it, especially for Frankenstein, because I think that one would have been really tough for me and like something that I would have really easily just put off because there's so many other books to read. So for that reason, I did enjoy this challenge. I do also think that it would be a lot different if I was reading it like within a day or 2 days, but I was still motivated to get my time in. So like I mentioned previously, like doing any kind of reading when I was walking, cooking, hanging out in the like living room, on my lunch breaks, things like that. So like any time that I could read, I was definitely reading. I think having to set aside that time just really helped in that motivation. It also opened my eyes to how much I could actually read within a 24-hour period. I don't really find reading to be something that I'm like competing by any means. It's something that I do because I enjoy it, and it's a way for me to just like relax or go to sleep or whatever. But I tend to tell myself that I'm a slow reader. I'm not very fast. Like I don't understand a lot of words. I have lower vocabulary, and sometimes like those things stick with you. And while those things are true, I don't want to discredit myself either. I am not the fastest reader, but I'm not the slowest reader. I don't have the biggest vocabulary, but it's not a bad vocabulary. Like there's all of these like things that you can like say about yourself, but on the flip side, you are also good at things. And a couple of like key takeaways for myself were that I read actually finished four books, I should say. But for most of those books, I was like maybe max 20-30% of the way through. I think the first one was the one that I was like the furthest through. Like Frankenstein was pretty much from the start. Hello Girls was pretty much from the start. Freida McFadden book was all the way from the start. So I read a lot within that 24-hour period. And on the other takeaway, understanding a book like Frankenstein, or just being able to read as quickly as I did, is a huge thing for me. I think that those types of books can be scary to pick up, especially a classic, but I feel really empowered and like proud of myself that I was able to do that. So I think there's a lot of really great takeaways from something like this. I think that I definitely want to see how it goes if I do like a real 24-hour reading challenge, but I learned a lot about myself and about my reading habits throughout this particular challenge. And I think one other thing that I'll probably take with me after this is walking with Pete and reading on my Kindle app on my phone is such a game changer. It's super easy to multitask. I can still pay attention to him, and I can get him to walk as long as he wants because I'm doing something else. So I really did really enjoy that. So probably something else that I'm going to take with me after this challenge. That is all that I have for you guys today though. I appreciate you guys so much. I really was excited to film this one, so I'm glad that we finally hit 24 hours. So thank you to everybody who's still here watching. I appreciate every single one of you, and I will see you guys in the next one.